Alright, now that we have the log file started, like I say, the main objective I believe is going to be Moscow, but we're going to implement this in somewhat of a unique way. I think the first HQ that I'm going to activate is Army Group A here, and I'm going to make this a Blitz HQ. Then we're also going to activate more HQs as well. I think I want to have a second Blitz HQ as well. And the idea is that we try to smash the Soviets as quickly as possible, as decisively as possible, so that we can then break through at a later time. I think that's kind of the overall idea that we have here. So I'm thinking, I think I want to blitz. This is exactly what happened with Case Blue, was that there was an initial blitz phase that occurred. So I think I want to do another blitz, is the idea. So I'm going to activate. I think I'm going to activate this Army Group North HQ. It's also going to be a blitz. So we now have two blitzes going on along the front. And the idea is that we can, it probably makes more sense if I activate Army Group South rather than Army Group A, so that we can have as much blitz command as possible. Now this solution could have been resolved if we simply had if we had an HQ in the center. But I think this is a relatively decent setup. So now the interesting thing about Army Group Center that we have here is that I counted it a moment ago, and there's actually 6 German Panzer Corps that are all stacked up in this region. And I think the idea that I have right now is that I'm going to transfer as many of those Panzer Corps as I can to the central part of the front. So let's start with these Panzer Corps. This is going to, the 41st and the 46th Panzer Corps are going to move east of Smolensk through Bryansk, and they're going to attack right here south of Orel. They're going to attack right there. Then I have 2 more Panzer Corps, the 3rd and the 14th, and I'm going to have both of them go for Kursk. Just a direct shot on Kursk, basically. Then I have 2 more Panzer Corps here in the south. They're concentrated out of Vorshilovgrad. I'm going to have them move up north and attack this salient where the Soviets were launching their winter counterattacks. I'm going to have both Panzer Corps concentrate their firepower there. And now really all we have left to move is infantry. Just a bunch of infantry to move. I think what I'm also going to do is attack this large Soviet salient here that is south of Moscow, north of Orel. I think the idea is that we're going to try to pin down the Soviet group here. I don't want them being able to withdraw. They're kind of in an awkward position because it's an open salient. But I think I'm going to send 2 more Panzer Corps to attack there as well. And then all we have is really infantry to move around. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 2 more infantry units also launch an attack there. So it's a pretty meaty attack. We have this Army Group South HQ here. I'm not really sure what I want to do with it. Not sure what I want to do with it yet, because this Army Group South HQ will move it north to Kharkov, and it's going to participate in the next phase of operations. But I think ideally, I could activate Army Group South here and have it try to maybe put some pressure on these Soviet positions defending Moscow, right? I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, I have 4 infantry and 2 Panzer Corps. So basically the equivalent of a panzer army and an infantry army. And then we don't really have much else. We could use another infantry army, but we don't really have much else. And I think the idea would be to maybe send 2 units to Kaluga, maybe. or Kaluga's over here, maybe units at Mozhaisk, and just try to pin down as many Soviet forces as we can. Now, we do have this fortress German unit in Vyazma, so it's going to work really well to hold off any Soviet counterattacks. So I don't know. I'm thinking that this panzer group should be reserved to attack Kalinin. And I'm thinking that we try to launch an operation in the north to possibly, first of all, secure the Valdai Hills, break through there if we can, and make a push to basically, you know, relieve, the sector of Soviet pressure. And I go deeper into the swamp terrain. And with that, we're able to, pretty much disrupt any Soviet, buildup in these sectors. That's the idea. But of course, it is going to cost us resources, and we won't have much to defend this central sector here. So right now, we're kind of in a defensive posture over here. And I really don't know what the best solution is, other than to sit and wait, basically. Now, as far as the operations going on here in the central part of the front, I think we have plenty of infantry, which is really nice. Now, the only problem with this sort of plan I have right now is that we do leave Rostov a bit vulnerable, I think. I'm going to move a German infantry unit there. I think all the other Axis units will have them just stacked up. We'll send two German infantry units, that is, across here to attack Kupiansk. It's going to be a river assault. And then I'm thinking we could use more panzers, but we don't really have any more. See, there's one, two, it's out of range. I was thinking about trying to attack Belgorod. So actually what I'll do instead, I will cancel this infantry advance, and I'm going to move a panzer corps to attack there as well. But I think right now, as far as attacking Belgorod, I think we're just going to have to pin it down with infantry. I'll send a whole infantry army there to pin it down. And then we really don't have much left as far as reserves go, which is a bit of a problem in the long term. I'm sure it's a problem. The fact that we're kind of abandoning Volshilograd, kind of an awkward move. I would think that the best move to do is to keep that area just beefed up with some kind of defense, so as to deny the Soviets any kind of flanking operation or anything like that. But the problem is that they can launch an amphibious invasion, so we want to make sure that Mariupol is occupied. I may have to move this mortar core to Mariupol. Ideally, it's being used on Sevastopol, but this is already, I'm starting to notice a shortage of infantry. So that's something that's kind of an interesting thing to note. These two infantry units, we'll have them move up into Kursk, and then we'll move up one more infantry unit south of Orel. We have two more infantry corps here as part of a reserve, and I'm not really sure where to put it. I think we kind of stacked up on infantry and armor both as far as the attacks here in the south. I don't think we really need more manpower unless we try to launch an attack on Orel. It's one option. I think we're just going to have them operate as some kind of strategic reserve. I think is the idea. Maybe I leave one unit behind in Bryansk. I think that might be the wiser choice. And then we also have this Army Group Center, which we could use for some kind of offensive operation in future phases. I'm thinking put one unit, attack one unit in Kaluga. 2 units in Mozhaisk, and then I think that's about it. And then maybe just move up like 3 units here. So like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 units altogether. And we have 7, 8. We need 1 more core. So there's that. We're also going to launch attack here and just put pressure on Murmansk. And then the finish, what I'm going to do with the finish is that I actually have to pull back this unit, because apparently this unit was never able to attack Leningrad. I assumed that the Greater Finland included this hex here, and apparently it doesn't. It only includes Petrozavodsk. I think for the sake of this game, I might just play with some house rules and just leave this finish unit there, because I just find it so fascinating, the what if the Germans attack Leningrad, would the Finnish have supported the attack? And the presumption is the short answer is no, they would not have supported an attack on Leningrad. But I think in our game, we're kind of seeing an alternative there. So I think that's kind of interesting. What I'm going to do with the Mannerheim HQ, I'm going to activate it, and I'm going to move this, double march this unit to Soroka and pin down the Soviet forces there. It's going to cost us 2 HQs since it's a double march, and this is a theater HQ. So that's one move, kind of an interesting move. We won't attack, we just will stack up on this big old area. And then that's it. I think we don't have that many airstrikes. I could activate OKH, but I think I want to activate OKH on the following turn. But ideally, we have as much air power as possible, and I'm thinking it would be wise to actually try to have as much air support as we can. This is a river assault here. So airstrike there for sure, maybe one more over here. And then ideally we could do another airstrike, but it's not really necessary. The only thing left to figure out is what to do with Army Group Center. And I don't know if we should save it. I think we want to keep it here in the north, I think is the idea. But ideally we launch an attack here, break through here, ideally, and just try to put as much pressure as we can on the Soviets. And ideally break through. I don't know if we can break through on one turn like that. It's possible, but the odds are relatively low. It's like a 50-50 chance. And I think I want to save that on the next turn if possible. Would be the idea. But that's it. I think here, as far as the Mediterranean front goes, ideally we do pull back our units, because the British are kind of chasing us down. So I'm thinking the wisest thing to do is probably activate OKH, or OKW rather. And we're also going to activate this theater HQ and just pull back our units. 2, 3. Put that there. We'll move this unit. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, like that. And yeah, the range is double. The idea being that we can maybe establish some kind of defense with this terrain here. And we can just start preparing to build up this Africa Corps HQ, which desperately needs to be built up. And then this one Italian unit will slow down the British, at least temporarily, but we're all kind of on the retreat right now. And the idea is to try to set up a final defense here, maybe even a counteroffensive against the British. We'll see. But we are on the run. So we just spent all our HQs in the Mediterranean front. That's it for the Western Front / Mediterranean front. We're looking pretty good as far as reserves here in France. But ideally, we start transferring maybe some of these infantry. It's level 4 infantry. I count 2. It's only 2 more. Maybe try to transfer them over to the Eastern Front if we can and kind of boost up that manpower. Now this attack here, I think it's kind of ballsy without any air support. I think it's unwise to attack that area without any air support, especially because there's always the risk of a Soviet counteroffensive. So I'm thinking maybe we do activate OKW, but I just don't really see what the best moves are. Besides, you know, pulling it back this level 2 core from Rostov, I don't really see any of the strategic moves, but I'll go ahead and activate it just because I want that extra air support. And we're going to move this German core to the south. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Then we'll move this German core here. That's 2 strategic moves. Third strategic move. All right, so here's another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the third strategic move. Yeah, that's it. We have 3 more strategic moves to do, but really no units to move around. I guess we'll move around Finnish units. I think this one will cost, oh gosh, this thing will cost 4 strategic moves because it's on the northern front. No, we'll save up for a later moment. Let's go ahead and move this guy. That's 1, 2, 3. That's 4. We got 2 strategic moves left. Maybe move this militia unit. And then move 1 more pair. And we did activate the Mannerheim HQ. Yeah. Oh, I guess we could try to reinforce Petsamo in case the Soviets launch some kind of amphibious invasion. Try to flank around. It's a real possibility. So I guess this militia unit, I'll have it move via sea to Oulu like that. And I think that's it for strategic moves, but we have another airstrike marker that I will use. And then we'll put another airstrike marker here. This one's Army Group North. And then Army Group A's airstrike marker will go right here. And I think I'm also going to have Army Group Center move right there, just in case, we want to use it for the breakthrough phase later on. Yeah, so overall pretty good move. We have a strong defensive line here in the north. It's not impenetrable, but it is pretty strong. 3 stacks is not bad. And then we have a Panzer Army there as part of the reserve. But I think the main game plan here is to break through in the center, somewhere in the center. So we'll start from north to south. Start these battles. Start over here. 3 hits with airstrike. Fantastic. That's going to do a number on the Soviets. 1, 2, 3. Soviets are pretty well defended. See how many rolls they get. They only score 1 hit. Very nice. Probably should keep track of the casualties in our game. So, I mean, obviously this phase 1, 2, and 3 was for Operation Barbarossa. OB for Operation Barbarossa. This operation, I don't think it's going to have a name. I mean, it might be Case Blue. Maybe we do call it Case Blue still. Just leave it kind of the same generic name. Maybe I'll call it like Case Green, since it's slightly different than what we saw historically. And I just want to keep track of casualties. So there's Soviet casualties, and then German casualties, or Axis casualties. They're mostly German. Soviet casualties so far are 3 and 1 for the Germans. Now the Germans get to roll with the Panzer Corps, followed by the infantry. A lot of sixes I'm seeing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. Great. Nicely done. 8 hits on the Soviets. You're looking at about 200,000 casualties there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just like that, the Soviets are at their breaking point. Over there, 200,000 casualties. The Soviets have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They have about 10 units left. So presumably they suffered about 50% casualties in that battle. Pretty bad. Do this battle here, no air support, but Soviets roll, they score 1 hit. Germans roll, scoring 1 hit as well. So not the breakthrough we were hoping for. So the casualties are like 4 to 1. Battle Kursk is the main battle here. The Soviets are very well defended. Start with airstrikes, scoring 1 hit. Soviets roll a bunch of hits. They score 4 hits against the Germans. So all the German units are going to take a hit. Panzers will roll, scoring 2 more hits. So in this battle, the Soviets look like they came out on top. 12 total casualties for the Soviets. Germans, though, are now at a total of 6 casualties, so it's a 2 to 1 ratio as far as casualties goes. So it looks like the Germans are not going to be able to break through Kursk in one single attack. Now we'll do the Battle of Belgorod, and we only have infantry attacking here, which is kind of interesting. Soviets score 1 hit. Germans score 1 hit as well. So an even exchange there. And then we'll do this river crossing here at Kupiansk. Let's see how it goes. Soviet Cavalry Corps scoring 2 repulses. So just like that, both units are repulsed, no hits there. And then the last major battle we got here is this battle south of Kupiansk against the Soviets. The Soviets had did a really good job of making sure they have mobile units to withdraw, which is really cool to see. So we'll start with air power, scoring 1 hit. Very nice. Soviets will roll. No hits. And now the Germans have a lot of firepower here. A whole panzer army attacking. Scoring 1, 2, 3, 4 hits altogether. Yeah. So that was significant. Technically 6 hits for the Soviets. And yeah, so now the casualty ratio is about 2.5 to 1. But still no breakthroughs. Technically, the Germans haven't achieved any breakthroughs anywhere along the front. But we'll now do the blitz phase of the operation. And unfortunately, the battle at Belgrade will be unsupported combat. But that's kind of where I want to send this Panzer Corps forward. Now, we can also do another round at Kursk. So I think what I will do for the Battle of Kursk is very simple. We're going to pull out the German infantry. And we're going to send in the fresh infantry corps forward to basically sponge up those casualties. And the same thing here. Pull out the German infantry, send in a fresh corps. And in this way, we're able to keep our infantry divisions in good health. I think that's the main idea. Make sure that the infantry corps are in good health as we keep our operations moving forward. I think we'll move this Panzer Corps into Belgorod. And now we just have the challenge of establishing a good front line. I think I'm also going to pull out, oh, you know what? This Panzer Corps will move in directly from the west. And then I'm going to pull out this infantry corps right there. I'm going to send in a mech corps inside there. So it's going to be hard for the Soviets to withdraw. And then, let's see, I'll move up another infantry corps forward at Kharkov. Make sure that it's well defended against any Soviet counteroffensive. Actually, I'll cancel that move. I think what I'll do is I'll pull back this mech corps here. This infantry corps will actually go back to Kharkov. And then I think I'll move this last German infantry corps to Stalina, like so. I think that's the wisest move. Or maybe we do something like, oh man, yeah, I'm kind of concerned about Vorshilograd, but I don't want to leave it totally undefended. So I'm thinking maybe we'll move it to there, and then put the mountain corps in Mariupol and this corps in Stalino. And so that looks pretty reasonable. Not a terrible setup. Oh, actually, oh yeah, I got it. This corps will move in directly from the east. Oops. And then this infantry corps is going to pull out and fall back to Kharkov, like so. And in this way, we have all the positions along the front line basically stabilized. We have a lot of infantry here in the rear guard. But I don't want to lose Mariupol. And I think we still have enough offensive firepower to break through along the front, which is the most important thing. So yeah, as far as air power goes, I think we're going to concentrate our air power right here at Kursk. Try to do is maximize damage there. And then I think we'll leave this army group center in Bryansk, I think is the idea. So that means we won't attack the Valdai Hills, like I was hoping for. But I'm going to focus here on the central part of the front and try to overwhelm the Soviets as much as possible. And that's it. Oh, we did not do the battle up here in the north. Let's do that. So we have a strong defense. We'll do the air power first, scoring half a hits. So we score no hits. And we score 3 hits in total, so that's 1 hit because of the double defense. Not bad. And as long as we don't sustain heavy casualties, we can continue our momentum there. But the idea is to take Murmansk as soon as possible. And we did a really good job of attacking this position over here, inflicted a lot of casualties. But if we were to attack right now, the Soviets would have double defense. And I'm not interested in seeing that. I want to make sure our casualties are preserved as much as possible. We've already sustained a lot of infantry casualties. And next production, our production is at 90. So presumably we can sustain up to like about 10 casualties. But when you factor in like the production here in the north for the Detail HQ, Mannerheim HQ, we don't have as much production as you would think. So the idea is keep casualties relatively low. Because the main production cost is going to be spending it on HQs right now. So we'll put 1 HQ marker here. We're not launching another attack on Kupiansk, although it would be nice if we did. But no. So let's go ahead and do the battle. Battle here south of Kupiansk. Air power misses. Soviets miss. Panzer Corps roll, scoring the last hit. Just like that, we eliminate a Soviet cavalry corps. I think I'm keeping track of casualties correctly, but we did break through somewhere along the front, and that's good to see. We'll do this battle here, Battle of Belgorod. So we score 1 hit. Now we have only half hits, and we don't score any hits there. Battle of Kursk, no air power. Oof, the Soviets scored 3 more hits. Very nice. So we sustained a lot of casualties at Kursk. I think altogether we sustained 7 hits. And the German corps, or German, units are like 22,000 per step. So 7 times 22, it's 154,000 casualties. So that's pretty much the amount of historical casualties they sustained at Kursk. So yeah, the casualty ratio is a solid 2 to 1 right now. Germans get the roll. The Panzer Corps is still good. We only scored 2 hits. And then we'll do this final battle north of Kursk. So we do score a hit there. Germans scored 2 more hits. Very nice. And then we could try to attack up here in the north. I think we should go for it. Even if it's unsupported combat, I think any kind of casualty we can inflict on the Soviets right now, I think it's fair game. So, or do we wait on the next turn and try to do a full-out blitz? I think we'll wait on the next turn. Like I say, we should probably preserve casualties right now as much as possible. But that is it for the German side. Interesting set of battles. No decisive breakthroughs. Now we did break through here in the south, but like, we're now entering the breakthrough phase, if you will. So there's that, and then we kept retreating here in the Mediterranean front. That looks good. We're going to switch over to the British first, before we switch over to the Soviets, and see what the British end up doing. British HQ is only at level 1, so it's pretty low. It's pretty weak. I think the only move I'm going to do with the British is to activate this Theater HQ, and I'm going to move this 10th Army, or 10th Corps rather, into Ela Galia. And I think I want to make sure all the British units are stacked up here before we make a push. So I think we're going to kind of like take our time, try to build up this HQ and so on. But pretty much get all these units on the road before we do anything. And then there's nothing else that we can really do over here. We try another amphibious invasion on France. Try to get Vichy France to join. Yeah, I mean, we could try to land over here. And you can get these two, if we can get 2 areas to be British controlled, I believe that's going to get Vichy France to potentially join the Allies. We have to look at the diplomatic events, but there's one in particular, I think it's called VF, Vichy joins the Allies. Oh, you know what we could be rolling for? Is trying to get the second front to begin, summer 1942 or later. And count how many prepped and ready beachheads we have. I don't think we have a single beachhead that's prepped or ready right now. Oh, it is prepped. But we could try to roll to get the second front beginning. So I think we'll do that at the end of this turn. I think this video, I think, is only going to be this first turn. Because it's going to be a relatively long turn, as you can tell, with all the battles that are going on. But I think that's it for the British. Not too eventful. Now we could try to chase down the Germans right now, or Italians, but I'm thinking we wait. think the idea is that we wait. Because I don't want to deal with the German counterattack and then lose a unit in the process. If we're going to attack, we're going to attack in full force. That's the idea. Alright, let's switch to the Soviets. Soviets are in a pretty desperate situation overall. I mean, they lost an army, or at least a corps. I think it's time that we do a full retreat along the front. Try to save as many units as we can. I think that's the game plan. Now we could activate Stavka. Could activate Stavka. I think I'm going to deploy this Baltic HQ here. Then I'm going to deploy the Western HQ over here. And I think all our units should be in range to withdraw. I think we're also going to actually, instead of activating the Western HQ, I'm going to activate Stavka instead. I don't know if that's the wisest move or not. Yeah, but we do want to activate Stavka because these Soviet shock armies are not very mobile, so it's better to move them by rail. Now the question is where are we going to fall back to with the Soviets? Probably going to have to activate this Western HQ and Stavka both. But let's just start pulling units back. So like this shock army can fall back there. Can pull back Soviet infantry army. Pull back another Soviet armored corps. Pull them back. I think we can only pull back one unit from Orel, which is kind of unfortunate. So we'll pull them back there. Then these two units. I'm actually going to change which HQ we activate here. It's going to be this one. Let's see, we can pull back yet another infantry. I'll probably pull it back to Tula, I think. And then the cavalry, we'll move it to Michurinsk, there. This armored corps, or Soviet tank army, we'll have it as a strategic reserve, so we're going to move it to Gryazi. I think this unit will go back to Tula. This is going to be a strategic rail move, two strategic rail moves actually. But they're going to move by rail for all the way back to Ryazsk, right there, the Soviet shock armies. I'm thinking actually maybe we set up a defensive line at Yelets instead. It might be better. Then this infantry army should also fall back there as well. The remaining armies should make a run for it. Fortunately, I don't think we can even retreat from Kursk. I don't think it's going to work if we do. I think the odds of success are too low. So I think it's wiser if we just let it sit there. Pretty much act as a rear guard. The Soviet infantry will fall back to Voronezh. Fuck that. This cavalry should probably fall back here. Okay, we can also do a few more modifications here. They can actually, this unit can move back there. This unit can move to Ryazan, basically create a strategic reserve. Oh, we got a strong defense there. That looks really nice. Trying to be as economical as I can with this defense. And we clearly need more troops defending Kaluga. We got 11 units defending Mozhaisk, only 6 units defending Kaluga. We also have this tank corps in reserve. Tank army rather. Now we did 2 strategic moves so far. I think we're going to do a few more. I think we'll pull out this unit. Send it there. So that's 3 strategic moves. We're still going to leave this position here in Kamensko. Although the wisest thing would be to probably pull back, but I think we're going to hold the line as best we can. Ideally, we have some kind of defensive line somewhere, but I think we're just going to retreat all these units back, fortunately. But it does buy us a little bit of time. You know, Stalingrad, I think, is still relatively safe. But obviously the situation here in the center is not ideal. I got a lot of units, a lot of understrength units. I'm trying to have the understrength units kind of act as a rear guard, or strategic reserve rather. But like, you know, Voronezh is very vulnerable. You know, the Germans could definitely chase us down big time. I think this core, I'm actually gonna have it move back right there. So that was, so I actually have, did 1, 2, 3, I have 3 more strategic moves left. I think we should just hold the line here before we decide to withdraw. We don't have any HQ in the south. We do have this one over here. I'm kind of already using it for amphibious operations. I really don't want to pull it out of that just yet, but we may need it to operate over here. To like get more units to withdraw to the mountain ranges. So kind of a strategic decision. That would be the 4th strategic move. You know, maybe we don't pull back here. We'll still pin down, whatchamacallit, Rostov. I'll move this unit in forward, actually. Further reinforce Rostov. So that's 1, 2, 3. I got 3 more strategic moves left for the Soviets, and it's like, we just need more reserves. We don't have any reserves right now. Unfortunately, I can't pull this unit back, which is really problematic. So yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we have a bunch of units being left behind here. The equivalent of about 200,000 troops, another 200,000 troops just lost, just thrown out, you know, throw the baby out with the baby water, I think it's the saying, bath water. I think another strategic move I can do, let's pull out those armored units. There we go. It's 4 strategic moves, right? I got 2 more left. One more left. Alright, we're gonna pull out this core here and move it back to Archangel. Alright, that's it for the Soviets. Unfortunately, no air support. Spending a lot of strategic HQs for a situation that has no air support, which to me is crazy. But yeah, fortunately, kind of a retreating move. But we did fortify Yelets, which is nice to see. Germans don't have many rail supply lines that could support their attack there. I think it would have been wiser if we had these forces fall back, but I wanted to make sure that we had a rail link to keep Tula in supply for production purposes. So yeah, we'll move on to the next fortnight. Switch over to the Axis turn, and let's see what the Axis end up doing. We don't really have that much infantry, but I think we can activate this HQ, Army Group South. We are in range of attacking Yelets, so I'm thinking we should go for it. If we can. We got this mech core that can support an attack there, so let's send that unit in. A understrength panzer corps will move in as well. And then we'll move in our 2 full-strength panzer corps. So the two panzer armies are converging on Yelets, basically. And then move up this infantry. We can unstack our units at Kursk. And then I think the other move is to get all these other German units to advance forward. Now I think we should try to make an attack on Voronezh. Probably be the wisest move right now. We can. So let's make an attack on Voronezh. Also another river assault over here. Oh, I think we forgot to do pursuit fire actually for some of these areas. Oops. Some of these areas where the Soviet units were pulling out. We did not do pursuit fire. I totally forgot. Oh, hold on. So I have to undo all the German turns real quick. Forgot to do pursuit fire. It's like pretty important. All right, let's see here. All right, so the first pursuit fire is this one. Oh gosh, I just realized we probably shouldn't even retreat. Odds of success are just too slim. You know, odds of success are way too slim. Yeah, so I think we're actually gonna fortunately accept the fact that whatchamacallit, Tula's gonna be out of supplies. So I'll cancel one of the Soviet strategic moves. Cancel that one. Okay, so let's do pursuit fire now. Scoring one hit there. And then we won't withdraw from these areas because the odds of withdrawing are pretty hopeless. We have to leave behind rear guards, and I don't want the rear guards retreating. Okay, we can switch to the German side now. There we go. All right, so let's do this one more time. Question is what strategic moves do we want to do? And I think Army Group South is actually pretty good where it's at. But let's just encircle, pretty much encircle the Soviet positions to the best of our ability. Well, units be in supplies. We basically need to win this battle over here if we want these spearhead units to be in supplies. Yeah. Now we can launch an attack on Voronezh, which is nice. I'm thinking that we do, or at least go attack south of Voronezh, perhaps. Soviets can launch an amphibious invasion and potentially put Stalino out of supplies, which is not very sexy. Go ahead and activate Army Group Center, so we can deploy this guy further south. I'm going to pull back this unit right there. And ideally, we can launch an attack. Thinking, may have to save that for the next turn. Yeah, but we got those nice rail supplies. Okay, so our units are in supplies. Looking pretty good. Yeah, but we're not even gonna bother attacking Belgrade or Kursk. We're gonna simply just leave those units out of supplies. I'm not even gonna bother attacking those areas. But our supply situation is okay, but we do have a few bottlenecks to take care of for sure. And then we are gonna activate Army Group Center. And I think the strategy here, I'm not really sure what the strategy is. But I think we're just going to start putting some sort of pressure on the Soviets wherever we can afford to, without thinning the line too much. I think it's the overall sort of meta of the strategy right now. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right. So not a terrible strategy. Not bad. There's definitely a lot of room for improvement here, for sure. A lot of room for improvement. Let's put this HQ here. But we gained a lot of territory, but our forces are kind of spread a bit thin, frankly. But if we can achieve this river assault breakthrough, I think we're going to be in very good shape for the next month. But a lot of it is counting on this river crossing at Pavlovsk. Zoom in a little bit. But I think the idea is to keep pushing east is the main strategy. Just kind of expose this underbelly of Moscow. But right now, Soviets have a pretty good defensive posture overall. So we have to like unhinge a lot of these positions if we want to have long-term success. That's basically my understanding. And then there's nothing for the Mediterranean front or Western front. And we will hold off on another attack here from Petsamo because it's at level 2. We want to preserve that. Let's go ahead and do these battles now. Airstrike takes care of this 18th Soviet Army. Easy win there. Almost 3-1 for Soviet to German casualties. And now we have put Orel out of supplies. Probably should put the supply marker there during the supply phase. These units are also going to be out of supplies. So we have established some Soviet pockets that have been encircled. And then the only other battle here is the Battle of Pavlov, is it? No, Pavlovsk, not Pavlov. Airstrikes roll, scoring 2 hits, very nice. Soviets score no hits. And the Panzer Corps break through. Piece of cake. We probably could have blitzed with that breakthrough. So that's super nice. And then that's it for the Axis. Soviets are now at 31 casualties, including the cadre. And then we'll do a supply check. Oh, we also do this battle here of Kaluga. Soviets have 4 double fire. And they score 3 hits. Very nice. That's pretty painful for the Germans. So yeah, it's actually about 2-1 as far as casualties go. We'll now switch over to the Soviet side and just do these supply losses real quick. Soviet pocket's getting liquidated. So it's about 2.5 to 1. It's not as bad as Operation Barbarossa. If we look at the casualty rate, I mean the first phase was pretty much 3 to 1, more than 3 to 1. Second phase was 2 to 1. Third phase was about 2 to 1 actually. So it's pretty lined up with like the late phases of Barbarossa. But yeah, with the Soviets now, the Germans have achieved a breakthrough. I think this is the time for the Soviet counteroffensive to test our counteroffensive ability here. And I don't want to send this tank army in too soon, but I'm thinking now is the time to do it. That's what I'm thinking. But it might be too soon. I kind of want to wait until this tank army is at full strength before I deploy it. It's kind of what I'm thinking is the best strategy here. But the Germans, I mean, the Germans have a solid line of logistics. They can keep their offensive momentum going and just make their way to whatever their objective is. I'm sure if Stavka right now would kind of be freaking out because they have no clear idea as to what the German actual plan is. But right now, this southern flank is vulnerable, is the bottom line. And so I think we got to do another strategic withdrawal since the river line has been breached and just fall back to a better river defensive line if we can. Which means abandoning Voronezh, which I don't know if that's the right call to make. Trying to abandon Voronezh. I mean, Voronezh is a really good defensive position because of the double defense, but if it gets flanked, its defensive advantage is completely nullified. Soviets really don't have many units between them and the Germans. If you look at the casualties, I mean, so far 4 ground units have been lost, 2 corps and 2 armies, right? Which obviously is not good. It's not terrible, but it's not great. And now we do have this very strong position here at Ryazk, but like it also depends on this kind of defensive belt that extends all the way down to Voronezh. So I would say the main problem here is defending the southern flank of Voronezh. And it's like, what do we send in? We have really no strategic reserve at the present moment that we could try to send in. I think ideally we would send in these 2 corps via rail and then move them to that position. That might be the best thing to do. And maybe try to buy Voronezh a little bit more time before we decide to pull back. And I think that's what we need to do. Buy a little bit of time so that in the next turn we can follow up with a strong counteroffensive and just blunt the German attack once this tank army is at full strength. These 2 Soviet tank armies are at full strength. But for now, since our forces are somewhat battered, I think we're going to have to wait. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and activate Stavka, and we're going to do some rail moves. We're going to move these 2 units via rail, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like so. 2 more strategic moves we can do. Go ahead and pull this unit out. We'll put it there. And then we got 1 more move left. What to do? I'm thinking maybe we should activate this HQ, or maybe save it. Probably wise if we save it. But like, I just want to make sure we have a nice rear guard of units. Because presumably the Germans are going to be able to follow up with a nasty offensive of their own. It's probably not wise if we just purely defend. Maybe we should attack. But if we do attack, this tank army is at the risk of completely getting its ass whooped. That's the bottom line. So maybe the strategic move was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, maybe we do attack. definitely a gamble, especially given that we know what the Germans have. They have two full-strength Panzer Corps. They're going to have the numerical advantage. There's a very strong likelihood that our counterattack still fails. And if it does fail, I mean, all hope is lost. If this tank army gets totally destroyed, all hope is lost. I'm pretty sure we cannot hold on to this position right now, given the just the absolute firepower advantage that the Germans have. So actually, I think I'm going to cancel that strategic move, and we're just going to do a full-out retreat. I mean, I know it's not the wisest move to make right now, but I'm thinking let's just retreat. Forget it. I mean, we could try to hold the line. We probably should try to hold the line, but I figure let's just fall back to these much more favorable these river lines, where we have a much higher chance of establishing some kind of defense. That's what I'm thinking. And we have this nice tank army in strategic reserve. But see, our line is getting really thin. So we still need that strategic move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And I think we should maybe just leave behind some kind of unit of Voronezh, just so that the Germans don't have like unlimited supply moves. Although the rail lines are looking good. So I don't know, I feel like retreating is also somewhat of a wrong move to make. Somehow I feel like it's the wrong move. Not a terrible move, but it does seem to kind of also create its own fair share of problems, from what I can tell. I think we're gonna have both HQs fall back there. But yeah, it's a very, very, very spacious front line. I'm thinking let's just put one unit there in Voronezh. I think it's better than nothing. So that even if it gets encircled and whatnot, like we can at least, yeah, I don't see the advantage pulling back. But I think that's the game plan, just full out retreat. Um, I don't know. I feel like we're kind of helping the Germans if we do retreat, like do a total retreat. But I do not want to like have the situation collapse completely. Two more strategic moves. One unit can go there, and then maybe we move this unit, this 19th Army somewhere. Yeah, I don't really see what it clears. Let's definitely redeploy this reserve Panzer Army for sure. That would be a wise move. Stick it right there. Yep, definitely an interesting setup for sure. And we got to be careful with defending Moscow as well. We'll switch over to the British now, and then pretty much wrap up this video with production. How we're doing on time? Yeah, hour-long video. I think we're good. Go ahead and yeah, I guess just deploy another British unit. I'm actually going to move this unit here. It's going to have to stay behind as the next group moves forward. All right, I think we're ready for production. We'll now move on to the month of July. British production, we'll start with that on the Mediterranean front. I think it's at 30, right? It is. So we get 11, 22, 24. 24 production points. Build up this HQ. 10. Build up this armored unit. That's 12. Yep, that's a total of 22 right there. We'll toss out the remaining 2. Western Front production is, according to what I have here, it's 22 as well. So 52 production points altogether. Is that right? I think it should be, yeah, I guess so, since 1941. They've been gaining 10 in the winter, right? Let's see here. Winter 41, they gained 10, and then summer 42, they gained 20. Yep, they got a lot of production. Very nice. 22 for the Western Front. Let's go ahead and we should probably just save. I think we're going to just go ahead and save production for next turn. And then we can also do a diplomatic event to roll to see if the front opens up. It's a 6. And we needed to roll a 1 to get the second front event to occur. So there's that. We'll now switch over to the Soviets. Just total retreat. They even lost Voronezh. Germans gain Voronezh. So we're at 58 production points. Let's go ahead and build up, focus on HQ builds, like big time. So that's 30. That leaves us with 28. I want to also make sure all these units are built up as well, as many as possible. That's 5 here. And then, let's see, 5, that's 8. We have 20 left. Yeah, we're going to build up all our tank armies. I think we also get a few more reinforcements, don't we? July, we get one more tank army built up. Very nice. Where to put it? Presumably between us and the German yeah, basically the German drive, and then this open steppe. So we only have 4 left, and I think we're going to focus that 4 on pretty much building up infantry. Ideally, we can build up these lost units, but I think since we focus the production more on building up our ground units, I'm pretty sure that's where the production is going to go. Just building up our tank armies. But like ideally, yeah, we do have some production left over. And I'm trying to build up, even though our army is not as large as the German army. I think the German army is still technically larger. We are trying to match them in fighting quality. And so with this powerful tank army in reserve, 2 tank armies technically, we actually have a counteroffensive capability in the summertime, and that's going to confuse the Germans significantly during their offensive operations. I don't think the Germans are expecting the Soviets to have a counteroffensive capability. So that's kind of the idea, is to make sure we have offensive capability even in the summer period, um, and just try to blunt any sort of German offensive that follows. So that's it for the Soviets. Now we'll do the German production, starting with the Mediterranean front. I think it's also 30. Germans have, what is that, 9 plus 11 is 20 production points. Go ahead and build up this HQ, and then build up this this mech core, which costs 9. So that's 19. Western Front production, I think, is at 12. Not a whole lot. I'm probably going to save it. I think I'm going to save it on this turn. So that next turn we have more production. Start building up more units. We've got to look at the German pool of reinforcements. Yeah, we do gain some more units for July. Let's go ahead and deploy them in Paris. But yeah, we can definitely relieve these 2 German infantry units now, I'm pretty sure. So, you know, we can send a mech unit to swap them up, an infantry unit to swap them up. And we got 2 Panzer Corps under strength, but 2 Panzer Corps nonetheless here in France. So the idea is if the British and or Americans try another landing, that we can pretty much repeat what we did at Caen and effectively, sooner or later, launch some kind of strategic offensive against them and push them out of their beachheads. That's pretty cool. That's it for the Germans on the Western Front. Eastern Front production is pretty significant. It's at 91. And pretty much all of it is on building up HQs. So Army Group Center, OKH, Army Group South, Army Group A, and Army Group North. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 HQs. That's 50. Plus Deedle, it's going to be 55 out of 91. So that leaves us with, I think, 36, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we have 36 production points left over. So let's try to focus on infantry builds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then maybe one more armored core. 6, 7, 8, 9. We got one more to build. Only problem is I don't see any infantry left to build up. Oh, I guess this one here, 10. Here we go. Now it would be nice to kind of build up maybe this mech core, or maybe build up this infantry core over here. I didn't see that one. Go ahead and build this one up. I think actually that was actually relatively reasonable. But now we can definitely keep our offensive further east. And I think the goal right now is to flank Moscow, which I think we're about to achieve. And then after that, I think the main strategic objective is to take Moscow as soon as possible, basically. I think that's the game plan. So we have 2 options to defeat Moscow. We can either encircle, take Moscow directly, or try to cut off Moscow from the rest of the Soviet Union by pushing on an area like Gorky, Yaroslav. So we have to push through this kind of corridor here of all these rivers, and we'll see how the Soviets defend. But for now, we're just going to keep our momentum going east, further east. But I think right now we have more or less achieved our original objective for Case Green. I think Case Green is effectively coming to an end. Taking Voronezh, we can put pressure on Tula. The next operation is to figure out what to do next, basically. It's the month of July. Oh, let's get Hungary to join the war. Let me do that as a diplomatic event. Something that could have happened way sooner in the war, but I forgot to do it. But like, let's see if I can get Hungary to join the Axis. Hungary cooperates. I don't think there's a marker for it. So I'll get a black marker here. Just put it over here. And it's, what are we in July 42? HX. Hungary joins the Axis. Nothing is going to change. Oh, this should be clear. Nothing is going to significantly change. Except that if we do succeed in taking Crimea, now these units are going to be available. At least one of these units will be. So yeah, interesting situation overall. Operationally, the Germans are definitely achieving success. Casualties for the Soviets is at 34. So 34 times 25. 850,000 casualties for the Soviets so far, while the Germans have sustained pretty significant casualties themselves. More than the Battle of Kursk, 308,000 casualties. So there's that as well. Presumably these units are also encircled, so that's going to be a little bit more for the Soviets. It's going to be like 40. Basically 1,000,000 casualties for the Soviets so far. And so there's a lot left. We got the month of July, August, September, 3 more months of good weather. See what the Germans can do. I think there's still a lot they can achieve. But it's not going to be easy, as entering deeper and deeper into Soviet territory has its own setbacks, its own downsides. But the Soviets have their own sort of defensive disadvantages, if you will. So yeah, I will wrap it up here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Comments and questions down below, game rules and all that good stuff. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.